Morning, all. All right, we got two games tonight in the NHL. So it starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific with the Toronto Maple Leafs in Florida. And this is it. Florida's up 3 games to nothing. If Toronto's going to have a miraculous comeback, it has to start here. The odds are against them. As I explained in the 3-0 down video the other day, the odds of Toronto coming back and making this a series, they're not great. But for tonight, they need to get some goals. They need to get some points. They need to get some luck, too. And it looks like Wall's going to be the starter. He has an .846 save percentage in these playoffs. Nylander, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in the playoffs overall. He's one to keep an eye on because he's been all around the net. They could use a couple of goals there. And then on the Florida side, Luostarinen, who doesn't have a point in this series, but has 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points overall. Maybe one to watch for Florida because if you need a key goal, Luostarinen at different points this year has been the guy. Bobrovsky with a .909 save percentage for the playoffs has been excellent. So Florida up 3 games to nothing. But one of the storylines with Toronto is going to be core guys that aren't producing. So Tavares doesn't have a point yet in this series. He's a -3. Marner, 1 assist, also a -3. A lot of talk about those two over the last 48 hours in relation to their playoff production and who's a big game player and who isn't. And then there's McCabe. He has 1 assist in this series. He's a -7. So if you're a -7 in 3 games, yeah, that's tough. Now on the Florida side, Tkachuk doesn't have a goal yet. He has 4 assists, but he's also a +4. So Tkachuk has been very responsible, and he's due for a goal as well. This should be a lot of fun to watch tonight. But again, I understand that Toronto, they might deserve a better fate, but there are plenty of teams that have deserved a better fate. I have said for years, the best team doesn't always win a series. It's the team that peaks at the right time, right? Sometimes it's a team that gets a lucky break that ends up winning a series. Been plenty of examples throughout history of teams that are better than the one that beats them, but they still lose. Going back famously, the 1993 Pittsburgh Penguins against the New York Islanders. Yeah, that Penguins team was great, but the Islanders found a way to dig in and beat them. So we'll see what happens tonight, and if Florida can pull off the sweep, maybe get themselves a bit of a rest and get ready for likely Carolina in the conference final. So that could be a fun one. Those two teams actually, pretty familiar with one another. All right, so let me know your thoughts and who wins that tonight in the comment section below. Then we fast forward 3 hours, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. The Vegas Golden Knights in Edmonton, meaning 8 o'clock locally for Edmonton. And that should be accurate in that since it's not 2.5 hours in between start times, they're actually going to delay puck drop by 20 minutes. So tonight it's actually 3 hours separated. So for the Vegas Golden Knights, Marchessault is the one that I put on the board. He has 2 goals, 2 assists in these playoffs so far. He's due for a goal. He's been all around it. Brossoit, .894 save percentage in these playoffs. Aiden Hill, perfect. Hasn't allowed a goal yet in his appearances in the playoffs. On the Edmonton side, Kane, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points for him overall. They could use a goal, an assist from Kane, something. And then, you have Jack Campbell with a .947 save percentage in the playoffs. Skinner with an .888 save percentage. I wouldn't think that any goaltender in this game will have a particularly long leash, as both teams have had, I would say, goaltending issues, but also I think the coaches have faith in whichever goaltender they're going to put in there. So we'll see how this one goes tonight. It's been pretty lopsided victories either way so far in this series. We'll see if that continues tonight. But if Vegas can win and, continue this streak of mastery on the road, they would really put the Oilers up against it. They'd be up 3-1 going home. So the Oilers, this is a must-win for them tonight. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know your winners. So Rod Brindamore was interviewed by Elliot Friedman and stated his case for all penalties being reviewed. He wants to take the linesman off the ice. He feels that having 2 officials on the ice instead of 4 would be better for the game. It would create more space out there for the players, which it would. He also believes that when a penalty is called, you can then have it reviewed by a couple of off-ice officials to say, yep, that's a penalty, or no, it's not. And he says it should be really, really quick. he's right that it would be a quick process that way, in all likelihood. But I think the idea that it's going to mean that we'd have a seismic shift in terms of what is or isn't called. And also, he's saying in this would just be for the penalties called. So for when the referees miss it, he's not saying that they have to go back and review for stuff they've missed. So it would get rid of some complaining, wouldn't get rid of all of it. And yeah, so I'd be interested to know, do you support this idea of all penalties being reviewed? I've talked about it before, and usually the response has been, well, that would make everything take way too long. The games are long enough. We don't need it to be way, way longer because they're reviewing every penalty. But there's definitely something to be said for in this era where power plays are so lethal, it might be best to have that, but I don't know that the NHL has any kind of desire to make any changes there. So Joe Pavelski gets his 70th career playoff goal last night, and that ties him for 19th on the all-time list in the playoffs with Steve Yzerman. So Pavelski, the one thing I'm sure that he would say is he would trade in some of those goals for a chance to have a cup ring. And so, yeah, Dallas kept their hopes alive with a victory last night. It got a little bit sketchy towards the end, but they held on. And, yeah, Pavelski's been quite the story in Dallas in this series. He's got, 6 goals in this series now? Absolutely insane. So he's now tied with Yzerman on that all-time list. And I'm obviously going to be rooting for him to get a cup ring because Dallas. So the Masterton finalists have been revealed. Clayton Keller fighting his way through injury. He has honestly, he was great this year. Might have had the best season any Arizona Coyotes players ever had offensively since the move to Arizona. And Keller's proven himself to be a superstar in the NHL. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it. However, Chris Letang going through a stroke this year. And just health issues in general with Letang, whether it's via injury or in this case, with strokes that he's gone through, just remarkable that he keeps playing. And he missed as little time as he did after that as well. Stalock, who lost a lot of time with illness, quite the story in his comeback this year. I thought he played well for Chicago too. I was honestly kind of surprised he didn't move at the deadline. I figured that teams in need of a goaltender might call the Hawks about Stalock. Maybe they did, maybe the Hawks didn't like what was being offered, but yeah, any of those three would be a really good pick for the Masterton Trophy. But let me know your thoughts. Who do you think ends up winning the Masterton Trophy? And again, tonight is a huge night for Toronto Maple Leafs hockey. I will either be doing a video tomorrow where we discuss, hey, so the Leafs staved off elimination, or they'll be the first one eliminated in the second round. And that will definitely warrant a video and a look at what went wrong and where it went wrong. And so it feels like that was delayed this year. But if you get, and I mean, kind of spoiling the video, but if you win and get out of the first round and you get to that second round, but you get swept in the second round, did it really signal that you got over that hump or not? And I guess that's the question I pose to everybody out there watching. Is that good enough? Because I've said all season, basically, I don't know that getting out of the first round is enough for the Leafs. I feel like they need a long run. And so, yeah, this is that thing where if they lose in the second round against a Florida team, who are the lower seed, and when you look at it, Florida 7-3 in the playoffs, Toronto 4-5 in the playoffs, yeah, that would be considered disappointing if they ended up being 4-6 in the playoffs. So I don't know what kind of changes we see, but does that signal that they've actually taken that next step by beating Tampa Bay in the first round, or are we still looking at the same team? I know where some of the answers are going to go on this, but it would be fun to look at. I'm honestly kind of rooting for Toronto tonight to win, so I don't need to worry about that for tomorrow, because it would be nice to see Toronto at least get a win in this round. But let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.